She texted two different men, not just one.
She was telling one that it was his baby and telling the other one she didn't know who baby it was, so I assume it could have been his too.
Miss Grimes, my father travels across state lines, drives trucks, makes deliveries, picks up, and shows up for a living.
When I seen her, she looks just like my dad. She looks just like us, so, I never really, doubted it. You understand what I'm saying? I always thought that, this is my child.
Imagine walking into a courtroom with your entire world hanging in the balance. For years, Mr. Smith believed he was Cookie's father. He was there for the birth, signed the birth certificate, and built a bond that every parent dreams of having with their child. But now, a shocking revelation threatens to tear that reality apart. Mrs. Smith admits there is a possibility another man could be Cookie's biological father, and suddenly a family already struggling to survive finds itself facing a life-changing DNA test. What begins as a search for answers quickly turns into one of the most emotional paternity battles the courtroom has seen.
You have brought your estranged wife to court to prove that you are the biological father of her 4-year-old daughter, Christina Cookie Smith.
Mr. Smith explains that his suspicions began when he uncovered messages that completely changed the way he viewed his marriage. What started as strange behavior eventually led him to discover conversations and photos involving another man. The deeper he looked, the more questions emerged. The discovery hit him like a freight train. Feeling betrayed and overwhelmed, he says he immediately left the home and went to stay with his mother while trying to process what he had learned. The trust he had built over the years suddenly felt shattered, and he was left wondering whether the daughter he loved was actually his biological child.
We actually ended up getting new phones around that time.
Okay.
So it's just like the other phones were kind of lingering around. So I'm just casually just going through them. And I saw text messages, some photos between.
The story becomes even more complicated when the couple reflects on the past. After experiencing difficulties in their relationship, they eventually reunited, and the pregnancy seemed to bring them closer together. Mr. Smith fully embraced fatherhood from the very beginning. He remembers being present when Cookie was born and proudly taking on the responsibilities of being her dad. For a time, there was no reason to question anything. However, as the years passed, certain doubts began to resurface, setting the stage for the painful confrontation now unfolding in court.
Excuse me, Your Honor. I've never seen any of these alleged text messages that he's talking about.
Well, did you send them? I mean, even if you haven't seen them, did you send them?
Yes.
According to Mr. Smith, a chance discovery pushed him to investigate further. While looking through personal items, he came across information that led him to search online. What he found immediately caught his attention. Another man appeared in photos with Cookie, posing comfortably and naturally.
So at some point, Miss Smith, you find out you're pregnant.
Yes, ma'am. When I found out I was pregnant, we were very excited.
As though he shared a close connection with the little girl. Seeing those images raised even more concerns. The possibility that another man might believe he was Cookie's father suddenly became very real, and Mr. Smith knew he needed answers.
I told Christian we weren't together, and I thought that this could be a chance for us to reconnect and...
Mrs. Smith eventually reveals the identity of the other man, Joseph Prater. She admits that during a period when she and Mr. Smith were separated, she and Joseph had a relationship. She also acknowledges that Joseph was informed there was a possibility he could be Cookie's biological father. The admission sends a wave of emotion through the courtroom. For Mr. Smith, hearing these details confirms that the uncertainty surrounding Cookie's paternity has existed for years. The realization that multiple people may have known about the situation while he remained unaware leaves him visibly hurt.
I'm in the shower one day. I believe Khalita's at work, Cookie's out there, I'm watching her, and I just noticed something that doesn't need to be there. I didn't put it there. I know everything that goes on in my house.
Judge Lake wastes no time asking the difficult questions. Why was this uncertainty never fully addressed earlier? Why allow Mr. Smith to continue building such a deep father-daughter relationship while serious doubts remained unresolved?
Who is this man?
Well, Your Honor, his name is Joseph. I actually met Joseph after we separated, and...
Mrs. Smith explains that as Cookie grew older, certain physical features made her question whether Mr. Smith was truly the biological father. Yet despite those concerns, no definitive steps were taken to uncover the truth. The courtroom grows increasingly tense as everyone realizes how much emotional damage has been caused by years of unanswered questions.
Around the time, I was very vulnerable because I felt lonely around the time because my husband left me alone.
When Joseph Prater enters the courtroom, he provides his side of the story. He says he met Mrs. Smith without knowing she was married and had no reason to suspect there was another man involved. Joseph explains that he first met Cookie Cookie when she was older and immediately felt a connection. From his perspective, the possibility that he might be her father has always been significant. His testimony introduces another layer of complexity, as both men describe strong emotional bonds with the same child.
Wasn't the father of my child, but as Christina got older and her features started changing, that's when I, had some doubts about it.
Joseph goes on to explain why he believes Cookie may be his daughter. He points to physical similarities between Cookie and members of his family and says those resemblances strengthened his belief over time. He admits that he embraced a fatherly role when he had the opportunity.
How did you meet Miss Smith?
I seen her walking down the sidewalk and I actually ran behind her.
Believing there was a genuine chance he shared a biological connection with her. Meanwhile, Mr. Smith had been raising Cookie as his own child, completely unaware of the full extent of the situation. The result is a heartbreaking scenario where two men have developed parental attachments under very different circumstances.
And we exchanged numbers. We talked on the phone for a little bit, not too much in depth, but we talked for a little bit.
The courtroom then hears from Mr. Smith's mother, Toni Brooks. While she makes it clear that she loves Cookie deep, she also expresses concerns about the relationship between Mr. and Mrs. Smith. She recalls seeing information online that fueled her suspicions and convinced her that the truth needed to come out. Her testimony highlights how the uncertainty surrounding Cookie's paternity affected not only the parents, but also the extended family members who cared about the child and wanted clarity.
When I seen her, she looks just like my dad. She looks just like us, so, I never really doubted it. You understand what I'm saying? I always thought that, this is my child.
As if the situation were not already painful enough, another revelation emerges during the hearing. Mrs. Smith admits that Joseph had opportunities to see Cookie without Mr. Smith's knowledge. For Mr. Smith, this is the first time he is hearing this information. The disclosure leaves him visibly stunned. In a case already filled with secrets and betrayals, this new detail adds another emotional blow, forcing him to confront the possibility that important moments involving Cookie occurred entirely outside his awareness. Like and subscribe for more incredible courtroom stories.
Had issues in his marriage. He ended up moving out. They ended up getting back together. They had this beautiful baby. This baby, I'm sure if your son thinks it's his daughter.
With the DNA results approaching, emotions reach their highest point. Mr. Smith speaks passionately about wanting to remain the father figure Cookie has always known. Joseph hopes the science will confirm what he has suspected for years.
But with that said, the truth is that you obviously didn't know that.
Mrs. Smith pleads for an outcome that will bring stability and peace to Cookie's life. Despite their differences, all three adults agree on one thing. The child at the center of this case deserves clarity.
From that 2-year point, Mr. Prater is still in contact and seeing Cookie as her father.
The atmosphere inside the courtroom becomes almost unbearable as the results are prepared. Every person involved understands that a single sentence is about to change lives forever. Years of uncertainty, heartbreak, hope, and fear have all led to this moment. Faces remain frozen with anticipation while the judge prepares to read the findings. Nobody knows whether the results will confirm long-held beliefs or completely rewrite the story.
For impact.
What are your hopes in this moment? I assume, Mr. Smith, you hope that you are her biological father?
Definitely, without a doubt.
Finally, the envelope is opened. The courtroom falls silent. Every eye is locked on the judge as she prepares to reveal the truth. Mr. Smith, Joseph, and Mrs. Smith wait anxiously for the answer that will determine Cookie's biological father once and for all. After years of doubt and months of emotional turmoil, the moment everyone has been waiting for has finally arrived.
At this court, the biological father is Mr. Prater.
Courtroom is stunned before the case even begins. This is not a battle between strangers. The two possible fathers share the same last name because they are brothers. Michael Shockley and Steve Shockley have both arrived searching for the truth about 31-year-old Desiree Boone. The situation is already complicated, but
Two brothers with the same name could be the biological father.
things become even more surprising when Mike walks in carrying a chart he created himself. According to Mike, his children are all daughters while Steve's children are sons, leading him to believe that fact alone proves who Desiree's father must be.
This is a lot.
It is.
It really is.
When he came to me and he told me that he was my dad, I went to family members and I asked them, did you know that there was a possibility?
Despite the unusual presentation, Judge Lake acknowledges something important. Both men have shown up to face the results and accept responsibility if needed. That willingness matters. The case quickly shifts focus to the relationship.
So, Mike, you say you have all girls.
Yes, ma'am.
3 girls and Desiree's right there in the middle.
rifts that have developed over the years. Mike's daughter, Crystal Dennis, steps forward and makes her position crystal clear. She believes Desiree is her sister and says so without hesitation. Her certainty brings an emotional layer to a case that is already overflowing with unanswered questions.
Steve, you have all boys.
Yes, Your Honor.
5 boys. You serious about that one daughter?
As the testimony continues, Crystal raises a question that has lingered for decades. If Steve believed there was a chance Desiree was his daughter, why did it take so long for him to become involved? Steve immediately pushes back. He explains that he was prevented from having a relationship with Desiree and insists the circumstances were more complicated than they appear. Suddenly, the discussion becomes emotional. Old wounds reopen. Frustrations that have been buried for years rise to the surface. The tension between family members becomes impossible to ignore.
Miss Dennis, what relationship are you to the defendant?
I'm his daughter.
All right. And you are here, I'm sure, because
Judge Lake then turns her attention to Desiree. The weight of the situation is visible on her face. For years, she believed she understood where she belonged within her family. Now that foundation feels unstable. Hearing Crystal speak about their shared upbringing and family bond creates mixed emotions. The possibility that everything could change after one DNA test is difficult to process. Desiree realizes that the answer she has been searching for could also bring painful consequences.
As Mike's, we fought as kids over who was more of a daddy's girl, you know? She'd be like, oh, you're mama's girl. No, I'm daddy's girl.
As the conversation deepens, Desiree opens up about her struggle. She explains that uncertainty about her biological father has affected her sense of identity. Questions about family, belonging, and personal history have followed her for years.
Desiree, when you hear this and you hear your sister talk about how much it meant to her that you shared the same mother and the same father.
Judge Lake carefully asks who she considers her father today. The answer comes quickly and without hesitation. Desiree says Steve. The response instantly changes the atmosphere in the courtroom. Mike listens quietly as the reality of her choice settles in.
And now you have to live with the fact that you don't know that if that's true.
We've never been really close.
The emotional impact is impossible to miss. Desiree explains that Steve has been consistently present in her life since the truth began to emerge. His involvement created a bond that grew stronger over time.
It broke, it's kind of broke the connection of the daddy's girl.
Mike absorbs every word while trying to remain composed. Years of believing he was her father suddenly feel uncertain. The moment highlights how emotional relationships can become just as powerful as biological connections. No matter what the DNA says, real feelings are involved.
That I had. It broke that connection with him. It broke the connection with my sister because I don't know if that is my full-blooded sister anymore.
Judge Lake asks Mike about the distance that developed between him and Desiree. Mike explains that he believed stepping back was the respectful thing to do while everyone searched for answers. He never wanted to create additional conflict.
So my next question was, who do you believe is your biological father?
Or pressure. Desiree understands his intentions, but admits the separation became painful. What started as giving space eventually created emotional distance. Neither side expected that outcome, yet both are now living. The exchange leaves the courtroom visibly emotional.
In my heart, I feel like Steve is. When he told me that, after that, we lost contact a lot.
Just when everyone thinks the case cannot become more complicated, scientific experts explain a major challenge. Testing close relatives is far different from standard paternity cases. Because Mike and Steve are biological brothers, the DNA analysis requires additional scrutiny. Specialized testing procedures are used to ensure accuracy. Extra markers must be examined. Multiple layers of verification are necessary. Suddenly, everyone realizes that even the science behind this case is unusually complex.
What other choice would you have?
Right.
When you don't know. And so once it was uncovered, Mr. Shockley, Michael Shockley, where'd you go?
I just figured that she wanted me to back up a little bit. That way they could get closer.
Dr. Baird carefully explains the testing process. Every precaution has been taken to guarantee reliable results. The samples were handled under strict procedures and examined using advanced methods designed specifically for difficult cases like this one.
Dr. Baird, we have a case in the courtroom today. We've never seen anything like it at Paternity Court.
His explanation reassures the courtroom. Even so, anxiety remains high. Everyone understands that the results will affect decades of family history. The science may be precise, but the emotions surrounding it are anything but simple.
Dr. Baird, we have 2 biological brothers with very similar names. I want to make sure that we understand, how does DNA diagnostics
Before the results are revealed, Judge Lake checks in with everyone emotional. Desiree makes an important statement. She says she wants both men to remain part of her life regardless of the outcome. Steve promises that his relationship with her will not disappear. Mike continues to hope for good news.
The chain of custody is very important in cases like this. So when the samples are collected, there are photographs taken.
Like and subscribe for more incredible courtroom stories. Even while facing uncertainty, his primary concern remains Desiree's happiness. The statement reveals how much this case means to everyone involved.
Of the individuals having their sample collected, there are signatures that are obtained at that time.
So you know they
That's
are
correct.
the person.
The courtroom grows even quieter when Miss Grove begins speaking. She admits she always believed Mike was Desiree's biological father. Looking back, she expresses regret over the confusion and pain that followed. Her words carry the weight of years of uncertainty. Family members listen closely as she takes responsibility for mistakes that contributed to the situation. The honesty creates a powerful moment just before the final reveal.
Whoever it turns out is my dad, I still want a relationship with both of them. Just one is my uncle, one is my dad.
Mr. Shockley, Steve Shockley, if the results show you are not her biological father,
Then the envelope appears. Instantly, the room feels frozen in time. Every person present understands that decades of questions are about to be answered. Faces tighten with anticipation. Hearts race. Nobody knows whether long-held beliefs are about to be confirmed or completely overturned. The tension becomes almost unbearable as Judge Lake prepares to read the results.
I can't explain it. I would like to be her dad because they've always had such a strong bond. You know, her growing up. You know, I can't change the past.
Finally, the answer arrives. The DNA evidence identifies Steve Shockley as Desiree Boone's biological father. Relief washes across Steve's face as years of uncertainty finally come to an end. Mike remains composed despite the disappointment. Desiree is left processing a truth she has spent much of her life searching for. In a matter of seconds, the mystery that defined decades of family history is resolved.
the biological father is Mr. Steve Shockley.
The emotional aftermath begins immediately. Apologies are exchanged throughout the courtroom. Miss Grove accepts responsibility for her role in the confusion. Steve expresses love and respect for his brother, despite everything that has happened. The moment is filled with emotion rather than celebration. Everyone understands that the truth brings closure, but it cannot erase the challenges that came before it.
Go by and stand with your desk, sure. How do you feel, Miss Grove?
Disappointed because, like I said, and I feel bad for Mike.
As the hearing comes to a close, Desiree makes one thing perfectly clear. DNA results may answer biological questions, but they do not automatically erase family bonds. Her connection with Crystal remains important. Her relationships with both men still matter. Judge Lake recognizes the courage it took for everyone to confront the truth after so many years. The ending is not flawless, but it is honest. And for this family, honesty finally creates a path toward healing.
I don't look at her as my cousin. She's not my cousin, she's my sissy.
My big sis.
Well, I'll tell you what, this has been a saga.
23 years of uncertainty lead to one unforgettable moment. Sheila Dennis enters the courtroom carrying questions that have followed her since childhood. The man she has always believed to be her father is standing only a few feet away, yet they are meeting face to face.
Dennis, I requested that you meet me in my chambers because after I read your court file,
For the very first time, family photos and stories shaped her identity for decades. But now everything is about to be tested. The truth she has waited her entire life to hear is finally within reach, and the emotional weight of that reality is impossible to ignore.
was truly by what I read. I realized that you've been searching for your father since you were 12 years old.
As the case officially begins, the tension becomes immediate. Judge Lauren recognizes the significance of the moment and acknowledges how much is at stake for Sheila. But before anyone can settle in, Mr. Dennis makes his position clear.
And so you've had these pictures your whole life, but you have not had your biological father.
Does not believe Sheila is his biological daughter. The statement lands heavily in the court for Sheila. Hearing those words directly from the man she has spent years wondering about feels devastating. The search for answers suddenly becomes much more personal.
Not one bit.
But I just wanted to make sure you were aware of the stakes and the fact that this can be in a very emotional time.
When Sheila speaks, She points to similarities she has noticed throughout her life. Certain facial features and physical traits always made her feel connected to Mr. Dennis. As she explains her perspective, observers notice a subtle shift in his demeanor. The conversation becomes more emotional with every passing minute. What began as a question of biology is rapidly turning into a confrontation with decades of unresolved emotion.
Denies that he is your biological father.
Absolutely.
All right. Jerome, at this time, I'd ask that you please escort Mr. Dennis into the courtroom.
Mr. Dennis then shares the story that shaped his doubts. He recalls an incident involving his former wife and another man years earlier. According to him, that experience damaged his trust and planted questions in his mind that never fully disappeared. He insists that the timing surrounding the pregnancy never felt right to him. Those concerns eventually became the foundation of his belief that Sheila might not be his daughter.
What you learned and why you believe this to be true.
Well, I've had pictures my entire life. I've been looking at them since I was very little. I feel that I look exactly like him.
Judge Lauren presses further, asking difficult questions about the relationship and what was happening during that period. Mr. Dennis explains that once doubt entered the picture, it never truly left. Sheila listens as years of family history unfold in front of her. Every answer seems to create even more questions. The emotional strain on her face becomes impossible to miss as she tries to process everything at once.
My position here right now today is to give her closure, myself closure, of me being the father or not being the father, which to me, I believe I'm not.
The timeline continues to unravel. Mr. Dennis describes separating from Sheila's mother and relocating to Arkansas. He explains that divorce proceedings became complicated when the pregnancy entered the equation. One revelation shocks the courtroom more than most. Despite all these years, he admits he has never actually met Sheila until today. The realization leaves many wondering how a situation like this could remain unresolved for so long.
I moved to Arkansas, she started the divorce proceedings, and then I got a letter in the mail stating that the proceedings had stopped due to her pregnancy.
Attention then shifts to the issue of DNA testing. Mr. Dennis claims he repeatedly requested a paternity test but never received one. He insists he wanted scientific proof before fully accepting responsibility. Sheila explains that growing up, she only heard fragments of the story. Much of what is being discussed today is information she never fully understood as a child. The search for truth suddenly feels more urgent than ever.
And I have proof for DNA test and everything else that I have been denied by courts, from her mother and everybody else. A request that I have requested from the courts.
The discussion expands when Sheila's mother joins by phone. Judge Lauren revisits the incident that originally fueled Mr. Dennis's suspicions. Sheila's mother describes the situation different and minimizes its significance. Mr. Dennis strongly disagrees. He maintains that there was more to the story than she is admitting. The conflicting accounts create another layer of uncertainty in an already complicated case.
Ms. Dennis, your mother could not join us today, but she was able to join us by phone, so I have her here on the line. Ms. Miro, are you here? Can you hear me?
I am, and I can.
As questioning continues, additional details emerge about relationships from the past. Sheila's mother acknowledges knowing the other man before her marriage, but denies any wrongdoing afterward. Judge Lauren carefully examines the inconsistencies between both accounts. Sheila listens closely, trying to make sense of stories that directly affect her identity. Every answer seems to raise another mystery instead of providing clarity.
As I recall this situation, it was not after we were married that I went on a boat with a friend, and my children were there.
Judge Lauren eventually asks Sheila the question that matters most. Was there ever another possible father in the picture? Sheila admits she has met the other man, but still lacks certainty about who her biological father truly is.
When I was working as a bar back and doorman, her and her friend came in the bar.
We dated for a short period of time.
Like and subscribe for more incredible courtroom stories. The admission highlights just how much confusion has surrounded her entire life. Even after all these years, she remains caught between competing versions of the truth.
Before I met Steve Dennis. After I met
Now see,
Steve
she
Dennis,
said she had no
dated.
relationships with him whatsoever. He was just a friend.
I did not have a sexual relation.
The emotional pressure finally reaches a breaking point. Sheila begins expressing the pain she has carried for years. More than anything, she wants to understand understand why she grew up without a father present in her life.
Someone that could be your biological
I know
dad.
the man, I've met the man, but I don't know. I don't
So you
think
know him and you've met him?
Yes.
Tell him about the hurt.
She questions why nobody fought harder to give her answers sooner. The courtroom becomes noticeably quieter as her emotions take center stage. Her words reveal wounds that extend far beyond DNA results.
It's 23 years of wondering why. Why doesn't my father want me? Why doesn't my father care? Why isn't my father trying to find me?
Mr. Dennis responds by pointing back to the missing paternity test. He argues that uncertainty prevented him from fully stepping into a father's role. Sheila's mother challenges that explanation, leading to another tense exchange. As they debate responsibility, Sheila remains trapped in the middle. Years of frustration, blame, and regret seem to collide all at once. The conflict highlights how deeply this situation has affected everyone involved.
Mr. Dennis, you say you have been denied
By courts.
the DNA test that you've needed
Yes, ma'am, for 23
20-something years.
Yes, ma'am.
You have been homeless.
The conversation then shifts toward financial consequences. Mr. Dennis describes the impact child support obligations had on his life.
The rares I'm behind.
That your payments are approximately $300 every single month.
He explains that the situation created enormous hardship and left him struggling for years. According to his testimony, the burden affected nearly every aspect of his daily existence. The case is no longer just about family relationships. It has also become a story about long-term consequences and unresolved disputes.
And you are $146,918.51 in arrears.
Specific figures enter the discussion, making the situation feel even more serious. Mr. Dennis describes living under constant pressure while dealing with substantial financial obligations. He explains the fear and stress that accompanied those challenges over the years. The courtroom listens carefully as the magnitude of the situation becomes clear. Nobody involved appears untouched by the fallout from decades of uncertainty.
A DNA test. So why would I believe the child's mind? Why would I want to get involved with the child and come to find out years later that the child's not mine anyway?
Because if you're white...
Judge Lauren eventually redirects attention to Sheila's personal experience. She asks Sheila to explain what has hurt her most throughout this journey. Sheila responds with a powerful observation. She wonders how someone could travel long distances for work, yet never find a way to be present in her life. The question hangs in the air. Before Mr. Dennis even answers, his reaction reveals the emotional weight of her words.
My father travels across state lines, drives trucks, makes deliveries, picks up, and shows up for a living.
Finally, the moment everyone has been waiting for arrives. Judge Lauren asks whether the parties are ready for the results. The courtroom falls into complete silence. 23 years of questions now rest inside a single envelope. Every person involved understands that the next few moments could permanently change their understanding of the past. As Judge Lauren prepares to reveal the answer, the tension reaches its highest point, and the future of this family hangs in the balance.
By this court, Mr. Dennis, you are the father.
One confession sends the entire courtroom into chaos. Miss Grimes openly admits that her own cheating happened after she believed she had been betrayed first. That revelation immediately sets the tone for a case already filled with uncertainty. She claims Mr. Davis is the father of her 10-month-old son, James. But multiple relationships during the same period have created serious questions. Before anyone can settle into their seats, the courtroom realizes this is going to be far more complicated than a simple paternity dispute.
Ms. Grimes, you claim that you have always believed your ex-boyfriend is the biological father of your 10-month-old son, James.
Miss Grimes explains that her relationship with Mr. Davis was still relatively new when she began noticing signs of pregnancy. After taking a test and confirming the news, she says Mr. Davis initially reacted with excitement. According to her, he appeared ready to embrace fatherhood and support the growing family. For a brief period, everything seemed headed in a positive direction. But that optimism would not last long once trust issues began surfacing.
About 3 months.
And about 3 months into that, you realized...
I was pregnant.
All right. So take me to the date when you found out you were pregnant.
Mr. Davis tells a very different side of the story. He says his concerns did not begin with the pregnancy itself. Instead, they started when he discovered messages involving other men. The more information he uncovered, the more suspicious he became. Suddenly, he found himself questioning timelines, conversations, and everything he thought he knew about the relationship. Doubt slowly replaced confidence, and the foundation of trust began to collapse.
You know that I was gonna have another baby. But then, that's when I started finding stuff out, you know.
What did you find?
Well, I found out first off that she is a real good liar.
When questioned about the situation, Miss Grimes acknowledges her actions, but frames them as a response to problems within the relationship. She suggests that both sides contributed to the breakdown of trust. What follows is a discussion involving multiple romantic connections and conflicting claims about loyalty. The courtroom quickly realizes that sorting through the timeline will not be easy. Every answer seems to generate a new question.
Ms. Grimes, I want to understand what you're saying. You said admit you were cheating because he was cheating too?
I admit I was cheated. I cheated one time.
Because he was cheating?
Yeah.
The uncertainty grows when Miss Grimes admits she gave different accounts to different people regarding the baby's possible father. At one point, she suggested one possibility.
She texted two different men, not just one.
She was telling one that it was his baby and telling the other one she didn't know who baby it was, so I assume it could have been his too.
Ms. Grimes!
Then later appeared to reconsider. Judge Lauren listens carefully as the inconsistencies begin stacking up. Each new detail makes the situation more difficult to untangle. What should have been a straightforward answer has become a maze of contradictions.
Yes.
What were you running around here doing?
I was just, my ex, he was nobody. I didn't mess with him or nothing. I just didn't want to be alone. I was just trying to get.
But wait a minute.
Despite the confusion, Miss Grimes insists that Mr. Davis remained involved throughout much of the pregnancy. She says he attended important appointments and was present during significant moments leading up to James's birth. Mr. Davis does not dispute being involved. However, he strongly challenges other claims regarding his certainty about paternity. The disagreement highlights how differently both parties remember the same events.
He's at the hospital. He stayed the whole time I was in the hospital. He was with me. He was like, I can tell he's mine. He looked just like me and my family.
So you said that, Mr. Davis?
No.
The conversation eventually turns toward physical resemblance. Mr. Davis points out features that make him question whether James is biologically related to it. He references characteristics that he believes do not match his own family background. Judge Lauren reminds everyone that genetics can produce unexpected outcomes and that appearances alone are not reliable evidence. Even so, the uncertainty remains. Mr. Davis also reveals that he never signed the birth certificate.
Do you sign the birth certificate?
No.
You don't?
No, I wasn't sure.
That's the right thing to do when you aren't sure.
I can't trust her word.
And so meanwhile, you've just had a baby, Miss Grimes.
As testimony continues, trust becomes an even larger issue. Mr. Davis introduces messages that deepened his suspicions and made him question nearly everything he had been told. The contents suggest additional possibilities that further complicate the situation. By this point, confidence in anyone's version of events is running low. The courtroom senses that another major development may be approaching.
Mr. Davis, you're saying that after Ms. Grimes told you we are having a baby, you said I was excited at the thought that I was going to potentially have another baby, and the next thing you know, you see text messages.
That development arrives when Judge Lauren acknowledges there is enough uncertainty to consider another potential father. Attention shifts toward Mr. Warren, a figure whose connection to the case proves significant. His arrival immediately changes the dynamic of the hearing. Questions that once seemed centered on one relationship now involve an entirely different history. The mystery surrounding James's paternity grows even larger.
Admission, you basically have said this is what happened. The truth is, you just said that to me a minute ago. So you are now at a place in your life where you are admitting it.
Mr. Warren admits that the timing could place him within the window of possibility. However, he also expresses doubts based on his own observations. Like and subscribe for more incredible courtroom stories. Then another important detail emerges. Mr. Warren and Miss Grimes already share another child together. The revelation surprises many in the courtroom and adds a new layer of complexity to an already tangled situation.
You know, it all add up.
The timeline.
Yeah,
he don't look like you though.
But he don't look like me though, but I can believe, you know, there is a question, you know what I mean?
Additional messages are examined as the hearing moves forward. These communications suggest ongoing interactions between Miss Grimes and Mr. Warren while she was involved with Mr. Davis. The evidence raises fresh concerns about the accuracy of...
When you got pregnant, you told Mr. Davis that it was his child.
Yes.
But then you were texting Mr. Warren.
Previous statements. As the timeline is reviewed, certainty becomes increasingly difficult to find. Every piece of information seems to challenge something that was said earlier.
Saying I slept with you and cheated on Anthony, so it sounds like y'all were mingling but wasn't single.
The tension rises again when conflicting claims emerge about conversations regarding the baby's father. Mr. Warren recalls being told one thing, while Miss Grimes strongly disputes his version of events.
Says things that make me believe, so.
What did she say?
Judge Lauren immediately notices the contradiction. The disagreement becomes one of the most intense moments of the case. Neither side appears willing to back down, and the atmosphere grows increasingly uncomfortable.
I feel like, you know, he yours, you know what I mean? I want him to be yours. She even told me that, you know.
Recognizing the escalating emotions, Judge Lauren pauses to refocus everyone on the central issue. The goal is not to determine who feels right.
You can't make a baby without a mother.
You can't make a baby without a man neither.
But my point is you can't make the baby without the mother.
The goal is to determine what the evidence proves. During this discussion, Miss Grimes describes Mr. Warren as her closest friend. That statement provides additional context for their ongoing connection. It also helps explain why emotions remain so complicated.
Right.
But the mother can always have had sex with more than one man, which is what you did.
As the hearing nears its conclusion, Miss Grimes speaks about her hopes for James. She says her priority is making sure her son has the truth and the support he deserves. For a brief moment, the arguments quiet down. The courtroom shifts from accusations to reflection. Everyone understands that the child at the center of the case deserves clarity more than anything else.
So of course, like, we slept together around the time that James was conceived, and I told him it was possible. I messed up. I was young. I'm trying to get it right for my son now.
Judge Lauren asks a few final questions before the results are revealed. Mr. Davis admits that despite all the doubts and frustrations, part of him still hopes James is his biological son. He explains that he invested time, energy, and emotion into the child's life. The possibility of learning otherwise weighs heavily on it. The emotional stakes have never been higher.
Do you hope James is your biological son?
I hope my time haven't been wasted, you know? So, in a way, yeah.
And Ms. Grimes, what are your hopes?
I hope James is Anthony's.
Then the envelope arrives. The room grows silent as every person focuses on the judge. Years of questions, months of conflict, and countless accusations have all led to this moment. Judge Lauren begins reading the official findings. Time seems to slow as everyone waits for the answer. The identity of James's biological father is finally about to be revealed.
Court, the biological father is Mr. Davis.